Hello, this video will go over Chapter 5, which is the integumentary system. So the integumentary system has two distinct regions. The epidermis, which is the superficial region, primarily composed of epithelial tissue. The dermis, which is located beneath it, which is mostly composed of connective tissue. In addition, you also have the hypodermis, also known as superficial fascia. This is the subcutaneous layer, which is deep to the skin. Technically, it's not part of the skin, but it provides shock absorption and insulation. It anchors the skin to the underlying structures. This area is where you would have an increase in weight gain. Hypodermis is going to be located in the thighs and the breast of women and the anterior abdomen of men. This is the location where hypodermic injections will be administered. Okay. This figure is one that you will see on your next exam. For the most part, you're going to need to be familiar with those areas that are in the bold: the epidermis, the dermis, hypodermis. In addition, you may need to be able to identify the papillary layer, the reticular layer, and the dermal papillae, and adipose. Okay, so we're going to briefly discuss the epidermis, some of the characteristics. It is keratinized, stratified, squamous epithelium. Excuse me. Sorry, y'all, it's late. Alright, so you're either going to have 4 or 5 distinct layers in the epidermis, and it just depends on where it's located. So if it's thin skin, your arms, your legs, any place where there isn't a thick, hardened layer, you're going to have 4 layers. The deepest is the basal. The most superficial is going to be the corneum. So in order, from the deepest to the exterior layer, you have your stratum basal, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidium, which would only be present in thick skin, such as the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet, and a stratum corneum. Within these layers, you would have 4 distinct cell types that would be located in the epidermis. Those are keratinocytes, which are the cells that produce keratin. They are going to be found in the protective layer, and they're going to be subject to more friction than the other parts of the body, such as hands and feet. You're also going to have melanocytes. These have a spider-shaped and synthesized melanin. All of these cells will be pushed upward toward the layer of the epidermis. They protect the skin from UV radiation. Dendritic cells, also known as Langerhans, are star-shaped. They actually start in bone marrow and then migrate to the epidermis. They're key factors in the immune system. Their role is to digest or ingest foreign substances. And then our last is the tactile cells. They may also be called Merkel cells. They're present in the epidermal and function as sensory receptors. Most of the body is going to be covered with the tactile cells. Alright, so these are the layers that will be located in thin skin. And then these are brief descriptions of the cells that I just provided to you. Alright, so these slides will actually give you more of a description of what you'll find in each one of those layers. Please take the time to read through these slides, as I'm going to pass by them for time's sake. Alright, please put a star beside apoptosis in your notes. Apoptosis is the process of controlled cellular suicide. The purpose is to eliminate cells that are unneeded, that are stressed, or that have aged and are no longer of any benefit to the body. On this slide, again, we are looking at thin skin, but as you look through here, you'll see the dermis, tactile cells, dendritic cells, and desmosomes. This will be beneficial for you for your lab exam and for your lab quiz. You would see this figure again and be asked to identify these structures. All right, so we'll briefly discuss the dermis. This is the second region of the skin. This is going to be the deepest portion. It has it's the second major region of skin. It's strong, flexible connective tissue. It has a rich supply of nerve fibers, blood vessels, lymphatic vessels. The major portion of the hair follicles, as well as oil glands, sweat glands, are derived in this particular layer. And it has two regions or two layers of the dermis. The first being the papillary, second being reticular. Now, let's see. Oh, here we are. All right, so the papillary layer is going to be the thin superficial layer. It's going to be composed of areolar connective tissue, and it's going to be located at the top portion of the dermis. It will also have dermal papillae, which are peg-like projections located on the surface. It has the capillary loops, or Meissner's corpuscles, which are going to be epidermal ridges that enhance the gripping ability of fingers and feet. All right, so I briefly spoke about the dermal papillae. So these are those friction ridges of the dermal papillae. Basically, these are your fingerprints. All right, so the reticular layer is going to be the deeper portion, or the bottom half of your dermis. This accounts for 80% of the thickness of the dermis. Please make sure that you make notation of that. Excuse me. It is a dense fibrous connective tissue. It does have elastic fibers that allows for it to recoil. The cleavage lines are the most cleavage lines are the tension lines form the reticular layer. These are the separations for less dense regions, and they're not visible externally. These regions are important to surgeons because when they're cutting the dermis, they want to make sure that they are going against those cleavage lines because it makes the sutures easier. So here's a diagram that shows you those cleavage lines throughout the body. All right, so your fixture lines are going to be your dermal folds. They're going to usually be located near joints. They're going to be visible on your wrist, your hands, your fingers, the soles of your feet, and your toes. These are the places where your joints are located, so that as you are able to close or move those joints, those fixture lines will allow for it to be an easier process for you. All right, so these are three pigments that contribute to skin color. Melanin, which is found only in the deep layers of the epidermis, is the only pigment made in the skin. All humans have the same number of melanocytes, which is, and then the skin color reflects the different amounts of melanin made and retained within the body. It can range anywhere from reddish to yellowish, or to a reddish yellowish to brownish black. Sun exposure stimulates melanin production. The more of that is produced, the darker the skin tone may be. All right, keratin is going to be a yellow to orange pigment, most obvious in the palms and the soles of our hands and the soles of our feet. Keratin accumulates in the stratum corneum and in the hypodermis, where it's thickest. It can be converted to vitamin A for vision and epidermal health. Hemoglobin is going to be a pinkish hue of fair skin. It's an oxygenated pigment. It will show more in Caucasians due to their small amount of melanin. All right. Skin color diagnosis. You do want to pay attention to this slide. Make sure that you're familiar with the different types of conditions that are associated with these skin color diagnoses. All right, appendages of the skin. Okay. All right, so with the appendages of the skin, hair and hair follicles are going to consist of flexible strands of dead keratinized cells. The tougher and more durable hair will be the portion that's extended. The hair follicle receptors wraps around each of the hair bulbs. The hair matrix produces hair. The erector pili pulls the hair follicles upright. So like if your arm is experiencing goosebumps, the erector pili muscle is what is responsible for that. The hair papillae is the nipple-like projection that protrudes into the hair bulb. Sweat glands. There are two types, the eccrine, aka merocrine, and then the apocrine. Sweat glands will also be referred to as sudoriferous glands. All skin surfaces except the nipples and parts of the external genitalia will have sweat glands. Sebaceous glands are going to be widely distributed. They're not in thick skin or in the soles of your feet. They do secrete sebum, which is relatively inactive until you reach puberty. Sebum can accumulate in some of your pores and block that pore production so that the sweat or the oil is not able to come out of it, and you could develop acne, which is a type of inflammation of the sebaceous glands. All right, so we have two types of hair growth. Let me get to that. All right, so your vellus hair is going to be pale, fine body hair, usually located on children and adult females. Terminal hair is going to be the coarse hair, like of our eyebrows, our scalp, and in your pubic area. At puberty, it appears to be a stimulation in the androgens or at testosterone production. Let's see. All right, alopecia is hair thinning in both sexes, usually after the age of 40. For men, it's considered a true baldness. It's genetically determined and it's sex-influenced condition. Some of the treatments that have been used are Rogaine. Originally, how they discovered Rogaine is that it was used as a high blood pressure medicine, and then the side effect is that it stimulated the regrowth of hair in some men and women. One of the other medicines that is used is finasteride. Propecia is another term for that particular medicine. It has moderate success, must be continued for life. If at any point you decide to discontinue it, then the new growth would just automatically fall out. So between the two, I would probably just go with the Rogaine. Okay. All right, sweat glands, also known as sudoriferous glands. There are two main types of sweat glands. The first is the eccrine gland. It is most numerous. It's going to be abundant in the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet, and your forehead. These ducts connect to pores with the primary function of thermoregulation. The apocrine glands are going to be those glands that actually are going to connect to where your hair follicles are located. They're usually going to be more active at the beginning of puberty. It's where your body odor is going to be associated with. There are two types of modified glands, ceruminous and mammary glands. The ceruminous is going to be the ones that produce the earwax, and the mammary produce the secretion of milk. All right, so I'm going to stop here because the video will only allow me to record for 15 minutes. And then should you have any other questions, let me know. All right.